Ensure AI benefits all of humanity. Those are OpenAI's own words, written into their founding charter. They were a non-profit, no ads, no weapons, open to the world. And in 2026, they have broken all three of those promises. And now they're asking for 110 billion more to keep going. This is not a startup running out of money. Lots of startups run out of money. It's a company breaking every single promise it's ever made, one by one and in public, with hundreds of millions of people watching. Quick context on who everyone is. So, because the story only makes sense if you kind of understand where it started and who the founders are and the big players in AI. So, in December 2015, Altman, the founder of OpenAI, Elon Musk, I hope you know who Elon is, and a group of researchers announced OpenAI as a non-profit. Their pitch was actually really quite compelling and I bought into it. They said the biggest companies in the world are building their AI behind the closed doors, and now we are making it open for everyone, hence the name OpenAI, right? And for years they held to it. They published their research, they warned about AI risks before anyone took them actually serious. And they were the people that were supposed to hold technology from developing or moving too fast. And then ChatGPT launched in November 2022. 900 million weekly active users, the fastest growing consumer product in history. And with that costs that the non-profit structure could never absorb. Training GPT-3 back a few years ago actually cost them 4.6 million. GPT-4 cost over 100 million. GPT-5 cost 1 billion US. And each generation is roughly 10 times more expensive, but not 10 times better, clearly. So in 2019, they created a capped profit subsidiary. And by 2024, they converted fully into a for-profit company. And somewhere in there, they quietly rewrote their mission statement and dropped any reference to the word safety concerning. Elon Musk was actually one of the co-founders, and he sued OpenAI for $134 billion, claiming he was deliberately misled about the direction of the company. And Ilya Sutskever, their chief scientist, left to start his own AI safety lab. The people who built OpenAI started saying they did not recognize it anymore. I was a subscriber when it launched. I'm sure a lot of you have it in your pockets. ChatGPT, there every day. I believed in what they said they were building, and a lot of people did. It took them 7 years to become the fastest growing and most trusted name in AI, and it took them 18 months to break every founding principle they committed to. Okay, now let's look into what actually happened in 2026. Now, before I get into the two specific stories from this week that I want to talk about, I need you to understand the financial picture, because that is the reason both of those things happened. So OpenAI's revenue was 13 billion in 2025. It sounds impressive. It really does. But their spending was 22 billion. That means they're spending roughly 1.69 for every dollar they earn. So they're not making a profit. And the cash burn forecast keeps getting revised upwards. 8 billion, then 17 billion, then 25 billion projected for 2026 alone. 165 billion in spending forecast through the end of the decade. And we only have like 4 years left. Their inference cost, the cost of generating every single ChatGPT answer, quadrupled in 2025. Gross margins collapsed from 40% down to 33%. When their own target was 46%, and successful software companies typically run above 70%. And here is the number that explains all of it. 95% of their 900 million users are on the free plan. They run prompts, they burn compute, and they pay nothing. One of their most respected tech analysts, Benedict Evans, published a piece in February titled, "How Will OpenAI Compete?" And his conclusion was very direct. No strong competitive lead, no unique technology, only 5% of users pay. Most people only use it a couple of times per week, and switching costs are near zero. His words were, Sam Altman is deeply aware of this and is trying above all to trade his paper for more durable strategic positions before this music stops. 900 million people, burning more money than any company in history. There's no real moat. It's more like you're constantly running on a treadmill trying to catch up with yourself, which you never do. And every compromise you're going to hear about today came from the same place. The treadmill doesn't stop, right? And the speed keeps going and going and going. Like, where do you end up? I tell you, I'm getting to that very soon. So Sam Altman once described the idea of advertising inside AI as uniquely unsettling. He called it absolute last resort. Well, we have arrived at that, haven't we? Because on January 16th, 2026, this year, he announced it in ChatGPT that they're now running ads. It took less than 3 years for the last resort to become Plan A. So if you're on the free plan now, you see ads at the bottom of the response. The minimum advertiser commitment is actually $200,000. And their internal projection is around $1 billion in ad revenue this year, growing to $25 billion by 2029. And then Anthropic, who own Claude, who I will come back to in a second, they spend millions on Super Bowl ads mocking that. One ad showed a therapist pivoting from genuine advice to pitching a dating site. The tagline was basically, ads are coming to AI, but not to Claude. And then Sam Altman, the owner of OpenAI, fired back and called Anthropic dishonest and authoritarian. His defense was that ads fund free access for people who cannot afford subscriptions. I will let you form your own view on just that. But I find it interesting that the man who called ads his absolute last resort is now calling the people who refuse ads authoritarian. Now, let's get to Sora. If you're not familiar, Sora is OpenAI's AI video tool. You give it a prompt, it generates a video. There's no camera, no crew needed, and no editing, unless you want to edit it after. Now in September 2025, Sora actually launched, so it's fairly new, and it had 1 million downloads in just 5 days. My inbox actually exploded because people asked me, have you heard of this? Have you seen this? Have you used it? Do you recommend it? And every tech newsletter is calling it a revolution. And then 6 months later, to the day, actually 24 hours ago, this is why I'm recording this, they shut it down. And here's the interesting number, because to keep Sora running every single day, it cost OpenAI $15 million a day. That's insane. And that's according to Forbes. So that's an estimate that it was costing around $5 billion a year, it would have, to run it. And that's not to build it or improve it, that's just the daily running cost. And here's the thing, Bill Peebles, the engineer who actually led and built Sora, publicly called it completely unsustainable. Back in October 2025, 6 months before they shut it down. So they launched something their own engineer has already told them was financially unworkable. They hit 1 million downloads. They keep burning $15 million a day for 6 months after he said out loud, it's unsustainable. And then they shut it down. This is a company with hundreds of billions raised, the best engineers on the planet, more compute than most governments have. And they could not make AI video work as a business. But it gets more interesting, and I think it actually is related, because I don't know if you know this, Sora actually had a deal with Disney. So before Sora died 24 hours ago, Disney had agreed to license it to be able to use Disney characters like Mickey Mouse, Cinderella, Marvel, all of it. And they were reportedly going to invest $1 billion in that deal for the license. And OpenAI was going to become a partner. And then Disney walked away. Disney does not just do that compulsively. They're not a small company. You know, their legal team alone is as big as some small businesses are. They do not shake hands on $1 billion deal and pull out because of a bad quarter. They looked at what was actually happening within Sora, the cost, the trajectory, and the economics, and they decided the bet was not worth betting on. And if the company that is protecting Mickey Mouse's IP for 100 years, and they turn around and they say, OpenAI is not a safe place for us to bet on right now, that is worth talking about and looking at deeper. So what does it mean for your business specifically? Well, AI video is not dead. There's lots of platforms, Higgsfield, Kling, Runway, Pika, you know, they're still running and they're still improving. And they're also genuinely good for using it for content. I do. But the economics of AI video versus text-based AI are not even close. The compute required to generate 30 seconds of a video are so high. They're actually 30 times higher than when you're generating an entire sales page. Now, the big players, they can afford to wait for the cost to go down, but you should not have to. So build your core business systems based on text, on your automations, on your AI agents, your follow-up, your onboarding, your content. That is where the returns are consistent and the tools are not going to shut down on you mid-quarter. Now, video will get there. The Sora story tells you that it's just not there yet. But the other bigger story, which I think is very much related to the shutdown of Sora and Disney pulling out of that deal, is coming up now. So on February 27th, 2026, something happened in a single day that I want to walk you through carefully because the timeline matters. So let me back up a bit. So Anthropic makes Claude, which is an AI like ChatGPT, better in my opinion. And obviously Sam Altman is the creator of ChatGPT. Now Claude and ChatGPT are big competitors. And Anthropic had a $200 million Pentagon contract since July 2025, and their AI was already developed on classified military networks. They were not refusing to work with the military, but they had two conditions. Do not use it for fully autonomous weapons, and do not use it for domestic mass surveillance of Americans. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth demanded every AI vendor accept all lawful purposes language with zero restrictions. And Anthropic said no. Hegseth cancelled their contract and told the world and the government that they're now a supply chain risk. That is a label previously reserved for companies with ties to China, Russia, and state-sponsored adversaries. No American companies had ever received that before. And then hours later, after Anthropic said, no, I'm not helping you with our AI for autonomous weapons and mass surveillance, Sam Altman, OpenAI, goes, that's okay, I'll sign the deal. So Altman claimed the deal contained the same red lines Anthropic had demanded. That claim was untangled very, very quickly. Now the backlash was immediate. ChatGPT uninstalled surged to 295% in a single day. Cancelled ChatGPT was literally trending, and Claude hit number 1 on the US App Store for the very first time in its history. And OpenAI's own employees published an open letter opposing the deal. There was people that resigned publicly. One of the key people in OpenAI's robotics, her name is Caitlin Kalinowski, she actually resigned publicly, and she said the Pentagon deal was rushed without the guardrails defined. And then there is a detail that barely got reported. Pentagon used Claude anyway, during something called Operation Epic Fury. The US military used Anthropic's AI for intelligence analysis and target selection, hours after imposing the ban on Anthropic. A senior defense official had already told reporters days earlier it will be an enormous pain in the ass to disentangle. So Anthropic got blacklisted, and the military kept using the product anyway. Days later, Sam Altman publicly announced that his deal was looking opportunistic and sloppy. Well, no shit. And on March 3rd, OpenAI formally amended the contract to add the same explicit prohibitions that Anthropic had demanded and been blacklisted for demanding. Read that again. I mean, that's just insane. So they signed the deal without the safeguards, got destroyed publicly, and then added the safeguards, the exact ones Anthropic had asked for in the first place, after the backlash. And now, as of today, Anthropic has taken the government to court, and that's still moving through the courts right now. But Anthropic has currently more downloads than at any point in the history. People who watched a company lose a massive government contract, get officially labeled as a national security threat, take a real financial hit because they would not remove safety limits on military AI. And those people decided they wanted their data somewhere different. That is a real business lesson in an extremely ugly week. Now, to put all of these stories together, shall we? Ads, Pentagon, Sora, because that is where the actual picture comes into focus. Altman called his ads the absolute last resort. 3 years later, Plan A. The nonprofit was founded explicitly to keep AI safe and open. Now it's for profit. The word safety has quietly been removed, and the co-founder sued them. OpenAI launched a product their own engineer called unsustainable. 6 months later, it was banned. Then they signed a military contract without the safety guardrails, got destroyed publicly, and then added the guardrails back. The same guardrails that their competitors are now blacklisted for. Every single one of these moves came from the same place. $25 billion in projected cash burn this year alone. $665 billion by the end of the decade. Costs that quadruple every year. 95% of users paying nothing. The treadmill does not care about founding charter. It does not care about your mission statement or your Super Bowl ads or your 110 billion funding round. It just keeps speeding up and it forces decisions. I want to say something about or to Sam Altman specifically because I think he's more the story than the company itself. I've watched a lot of his interviews. There's something specific I keep noticing that gets mistaken for vision. He can talk about some complete alarming things with complete serenity. He will sit across from an interviewer and say, almost peacefully, that AI might be the most dangerous and transformative technology in human history. And then in the same breath, pivot to his next funding round. No tension, no weight. He co-founded OpenAI because he believed uncontrolled AI development was an existential risk to humanity. That was his founding premise. And then he built one of the fastest moving, least transparent AI companies on the planet. He writes about thinking in civilization scale terms and then signs a military contract within hours of his main competitor being blacklisted because they didn't want to be part of it. He's very good at managing perception. He always has been. I've watched many of his interviews. I think that skill alone has served him so well for so long that most people have genuinely stopped asking whether the perception matches what is actually happening inside of that company. As a subscriber when they launched, I believed in what they said they were building. Watching what it has become has been truly unsettling. But here's the thing about that. A company's real values do not show up in the founding documents. They show up in the decisions the companies make if they are under financial pressure. So watch what companies do when the money gets tight and the treadmill speeds up. That tells you everything. So here's what you actually want to do with this, because I like to leave every episode with a bit of a tip or a action item. Pull up all your AI tools your business genuinely depends on. The 2 or 3 that would break something real if they would disappear tomorrow. For each one, if this shut down in, say, 6 months, what breaks in your company? Do you have a backup? Are you sitting on single risk platforms without realizing it? And then the harder question is, do you actually know what this company is willing to say no to? Not the marketing copy or the mission statement. What have they done under real pressure? And if you don't know, research it. Public answers for the biggest players in the space are available. And you watch all of them play out just like in the same week. It's insane. And just remember, you are building your business on someone else's infrastructure. And that is fine, everyone is. But you should at least know whose infrastructure it is and what they are willing to do when the treadmill speeds up. It might change nothing. This is a valid outcome, but make it a conscious choice and not a default one. I cancelled my ChatGPT. If this one landed for you or made you think or made you go, oh my God, I need to change something or research a little bit, then send this to someone you think that would resonate with as well. And if you're watching this on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe. Give me a little comment and maybe share it with someone who needs to hear this. All of the AI tools that I actually use and recommend and stand behind, they are all listed on my website. So if you go to juliamann.ai, that's juliamann.ai, there's a free tools library you can download. Then go ahead and do that. And I hope I see you in the next episode. Until then, take care. I'm Julia Mann. Stay ahead.